This is more for Kate, actually. I agree with your point of integrating with the local community, but do you think that if IQSU holds events that aims for both local and international communities at once, do you think how would, if IQSU holds events that both try to integrate local and international communities at once, how do you think that those events would be different from other events held by other societies? Because ultimately they're open for everyone else. So.
Yeah, you make a very good point. I suppose I didn't have quite time to talk about it more in my speech, but what I meant by integrating IQSU into the local community was we keep them international. So we'll have the Italian Society talk, we'll have the Malaysian Society ball, we'll have, I don't know, the Chinese Society speakers, but we'll publicise them through, like the tab, we'll publicise them through Varsity, we'll get them to come and review it, that kind of thing. It's more bringing the local community into and raising awareness and generating interest in the international community. That so it's not really involving, creating a kind of local plus meets international event. It's more like having the international event that generates local interest. Yeah.
Similarly, on that point, how do you propose to go about bringing the communities together, rather than just having events attended by both? Because that doesn't actually necessarily create friendships and create cross-cultural relationships.
That's true, yeah, you're right. I did actually really like the Ragline Date idea, and I do like this, sorry, I'm taking your ideas, but the international Ragline Date, the talent show, but also, I know, I genuinely am. Because I've run for International Freshers Officer, and I'm thinking, just kind of like general kind of club nights, or even, yeah, I saw you about, yeah, club nights or kind of bar nights, just being like, oh, everyone come to the fountain, just because it's a way of, it seems a bit isolating to think, oh, I'm just going to make it like a Malaysian night. So I think if you bring it to Cambridge, then that way people will be drawn by the actual Cambridge attraction and not just by the fact that it's the common people, I think.
Yeah, I think for the club, I think it's really great. I work for another society, and he organised a kind of Chinese club night during Chinese New Year. Well, I think it's definitely a good idea to bring everyone together. I mean, why not have everyone joining us in a club, and it's going to be great. And it's definitely possible. I worked for CNY last year as Vice President for ANTS, and it's really easy to organize this. I just talked to the club, and they just say, okay, if you have a minimum spending of blah, 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 then it's free to book the whole place. And it's definitely possible. It's going to be great.
Oh, sorry, on that note, for funding, because I'm a sponsorship and branding officer for the June event, right? And so I had to get in touch with basically all the people who own like Lola's and Cindy's and like Life and stuff. And it's actually, you can actually get money from them because they want to promote the club. So by renting out the club, you can get like £2 or £3, it's like a discount night, so you can get like £2 or £3 worth. Ultimately, £2 for every £3 ticket sold. So we could even boost our budget that way.
Yeah, so I've been the Home Student Liaison Coordinator on IQSU for the last year. And my job has basically been to try and bring together the home communities and the international communities. And one thing I found is that the vast majority of home students have zero interest in going to any international events. How will you get them to actually come to things and actually be interested?
Yeah, so this is, that's definitely a really, really good point. I was thinking foreign films, actually, because I was looking at St John's Picture House, and Chris McNichol is, he's a friend of a friend, and so you have to give, I think, quite a long notice. You have to go like week 6, week 7, I think. But that kind of thing where there's already a market for it, I think, and we could just generate interest, not necessarily for the international, just for the wider international community, and also we're talking about social, increasing the social media profile. We don't necessarily have to, because I think Meredith posted a lot on the Facebook group last year, but the website itself, it's a little bit. I think just before the World Cup and the International Food Festival, it was the one before that was last year's hosting. So I think we have like a more prolific, more high profile, then we're probably seen as something to go to, like an event, and also we can comment on everything. And I was thinking of getting in touch with all of the international societies. So like I said before, like Italian Society, Malaysian Society, even the Anglo-Japanese one, and kind of posting on that on the Facebook group and even commenting on things like, Lupita Nyong'o's latest fashion choice, so that it sounds like we're more in touch, or more something like a bridge between, not only a bridge between the local and international community, but also between like our global community and the real global one, so that we seem more like a big deal, I think. Sorry, that's quite long-winded.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I think it's very interesting. Like for CNY, it's a Chinese New Year ball, but we have about 20 to 30 foreign people coming here, even though most of the programs are in Chinese. That's very interesting. And I think it's because first we got their friends showing on the stage. They have people who they actually know, who they want to watch. And for things like clubbing night, I don't see the point why shouldn't they come. Clubbing, it works for everyone. Right? It works for everyone.
Why would they come to the international club night as opposed to just their own club night
Exactly.
every other night of the week?
Because I think firstly,
And one question, how do you publicize your events to the home students?
Because there are no home student societies that you can post on their Facebook group.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I think one important thing is possibly personal contacts. So if you know some of the leaders of the home students kind of societies.
There are none. Sorry, I've been trying to do this all year. There are no home student societies.
Yeah, there's no exactly a home student society, but they have their own, like, let's say they have filming society or kind of hobbit societies. They have everyone there, right? They have different societies. If you know some of them, they can help you to publicize.
This is what I was saying before. I've already been involved in a wide variety, dabbled in a lot of Cambridge, like home life. So I do know the editor-in-chief of the Tab, like the Varsity Lifestyle editor is one of my really good friends, that kind of thing. And she was writing recipes for Chinese New Year that I thought could so easily have been in association with IQSU that just weren't. I just think we just need to have that more cohesive image. And even with things like, I know we have a very limited budget, but even working in with like the Cambridge Union to organise speakers so that we look more high profile, we look more like integrated into home life. And as what you're saying about getting people to come, again, as well, I'm not international obviously yet, but the one of the events I had was kind of branding it as, I already know we organise cross-college formals, but not branding them as international formals, just branding it as like Christ formal, Trinity formal, I don't know, John's formal, and people will definitely want to come to that. If you put international around it, sometimes there is a bit of a stigma, I agree. So if you just brand it as kind of, going to an event while you get to meet international freshers or people, I think that's another way of going around it.
Yeah. IQC is not all about playing and those entertainment events. And this year we did a campaign against the immigration bill, which now passed over to the law stage. Do you have any idea what this issue is? This is the first question. And the second question is, do you have a plan to continue address on this issue? Second question. Third question, do you have any idea whether there are any other those like political constraints or bias on the international students in general? Okay.
Personally, I heard about the immigration bill from Meredith. Apart from that, I've got to say I'm sorry, I don't know very much about it. But, sorry, what was the second question?
Actually,
how to continue?
Yes.
If one person answers first, then how do we know that the other one actually knows?
Oh, of course. I don't know, so if Victoria knows.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know exactly the details, but kind of roughly have the idea of how this kind of recent immigration laws have changed and make it harder for the foreign students to study here in the UK, and kind of raising rate for the international student as well. But I don't really know exactly the details. But if I actually get the rule, I would definitely go look into the things, the policies that actually affect international students. I think it's very important because here we are really disadvantaged in many senses. So, for example, when we are in the job market, many of the companies wouldn't really offer you a place simply because of visa. I mean, that's kind of really unfair. Even though if you're competent, you can't find a job. I think that's very important. And if I become the president, I would definitely work on this kind of field. Definitely.
That's very true. I was also thinking what you were saying about other major issues that affect the student body as a whole. I think minority discrimination and all that. I've been involved in FLY, which is it's just a student kind of conversation area, and I work very closely with the women's officer. I heard about how Lauren Steele approached you, the women's officer for QSU. I definitely think this is a rising feminism and the discrimination against ethnic minorities. I think it's definitely something that not only affects the international community but the home one as well. And it's really, really something I would like to propose, and actually why I decided to run for chair, and because for the past 4 years there hasn't been a female chair, and so I thought it was time. Those kind of things I really would like to work in association with QSU to try and make those more high profile and to reach where we should be in terms of a fair equality in terms of gender, culture, and ethnicity.
Yeah. QC Women's Officer is working on this right now.
Yeah, she is. So Lauren's great. Yes.
I have a question. So I know there are a lot of plans that you can do. There are so many things that you can do within IQSU. But to be really realistic, you need to choose your focus what are you planning for? Do you want to focus on more like social events or integrating like international societies, or are you planning on like promoting like gender equality or like international welfare? So like just briefly, what are your main own plans? Like where do you think you will be focusing on? I know you can do both at the same time, but you really need to focus on either one. You need to know like your direction. So what are you, like,
exactly. So I think we need to do things step by step. We can't make everything happen in 1 year.
Yeah.
So I think social events is a good starting point because it just brings all the international communities together. So we're kind of creating a stronger bond between us. So in my speech, I talked about the talent show. I think that's a very good starting point because I know that can happen. And I organized a ball before. I know how it works. I know how to book venues, how to attract all the performers as well. So I think that is really practical. That's a starting point. There are plenty of other events that can happen, but I think for a committee we have to have a focus. We can't do everything. I think the social aspect is integral for ICUSU. That's what ICUSU is for. That's the area where I actually want to focus on.
Okay. What about you?
Similar vein. So that I would want to focus on integration into the home life, but in terms of the social way and bringing the home students and generating awareness and interest in the international community. So I think what this committee this year has done so well already is enhance integration amongst different international groups. So your food festival, the International Freshers Week, the World Cup on Saturday, those are great. And because those are already so established, I think it's just great to build on that by integrating us encouraging the integration of the home life and the international one through events I suggested, like club nights or inter-college formals, or if we can get the budget, maybe some talks, or maybe the foreign films, things like that wouldn't wouldn't break the bank. So yeah.
Any other questions?
So I was talking to somebody who was talking to the IRA in Pembroke, and basically,
The what, sorry?
So basically, somebody in Pembroke told me that the problem our IRA has is that international students, like, we tend to like group them together, as in like you're international, you should like, be international sort of thing.
Yeah.
But truth is like, there's a Chinese group, there's the Malaysian group, there's a American group. What's your plan on like dealing with the differences between the international culture of each culture?
Exactly, I think that's what's happening now. Chinese plays Chinese, Hong Kong plays Hong Kong, Singaporean plays Singaporean. That's why I want the international talent show, where I can attract everyone, people from different societies together. Well, if I get the performers, then they can get their people in their society, and they come together, meet with each other. We can have the international clubbing night. That's where people actually come together. Well, possibly they still stay with their friends, but it's a good chance for them to at least meet with each other. I think it's a good starting point.
Yeah. When I was running for international officer, I did actually think about this. It's not like a one-size-fits-all thing, and you can't just lump all of them internationally. It's like there's a spectrum of international students, not only in terms of nationality, but also how long they've been internationals for. So some students have spent 10 years like moving from place to place, and others have only just got here. Yeah, very, very valid point. Personally, what I was thinking was integrate it. So I don't know again if this is over ambitious, but I was thinking before International Freshers Week, sending out this form to potential Pembroke international students and asking them what their individual interests were, because our international officer for Pembroke is Tristan, and he was saying that it's really hard. The people who are hardest to integrate into anything really are the ones who chain themselves to their desk, who prioritise work over everything. And just as there are different types of students, there are of course different types of international students. So I was thinking of asking for a form and asking them what their individual interests are, maybe signing them up to different mailing lists. Like I was part of the Italian Society, and I'm definitely not Italian. So putting them on different mailing lists, getting them to explore their interests maybe before they come, so that they really integrate themselves into the wide variety of things that Cambridge has to offer, with things they really care about, and not just kind of this arbitrary like pub crawl, and it makes people feel awkward sometimes. It's not for everyone. So,
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Tori.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, one last quick question is, in the university there exists a group of students who are a great interest and passion for international issues, but are themselves not international students.
Okay.
What would you do to help them integrate into, or to contribute to ICUSU and to build connections with international students further?
Oh, I've never heard of this, but
Yeah, I got a friend. I got a friend. He's doing, I think it's Oriental study. So he's actually learning Chinese. He's really interested in the Chinese culture. So I just asked him to come. I mean, I could just come here, and firstly we all speak English as well. So, and it's a good place for him to practice Chinese. I mean, he really like to join us because he wants to make Chinese friends. He wants to learn what we actually doing every day. I think if they're interested, they're definitely welcome to come. Definitely.
So I did see why we couldn't open the floor to the rest of the uni pretty much. Although what we were saying before about not making it a local community university thing, I think variety is key. So maybe having some that are exclusively international, because while Meg was saying that it seemed a bit exclusive to just segregate, or like to segregate like the Chinese people all together or the Malaysian people together. It's like people gravitate towards what's familiar. So it is only natural that they would have that base. So I think definitely a variety of events, some of which are a mix and some of which are exclusively international.
Okay, thanks again. Thank you so much.